welcome to Celebrity Liar. My name is Andrew Hill Newman, and this pure pleasure of a person, not to mention your personal path to participation in tonight's proceedings, is Cat Steele.
Yeah, Cat!
The game we play here is simple. Our two celebrity guests are both going to tell you the same story as if it happened to them. In truth, it only happened to one of them. It's going to be up to you, the audience, to decide who's the liar.
I'm Kat, and I will be in the chat room, so if you have any questions or comments, I will be more than happy to relay them to our wonderful celebrity guests.
Yes, and she'll also announce the vote at the end because you're going to pick who you think the liar is. If you're still watching on the front page of theroomlive.com, go ahead and click on that bar right below this window that says Chat and View Larger, and then you'll be able to chat and view larger. And you'll pass on questions to our celebrity guests, comments, maybe they have to do with the game, maybe they don't, whatever you want to throw, or if you just want to chat with Kat, get on in there. But speaking of celebrity guests, I am proud and thrilled to have these two extremely creative performing artists who have been entertaining and influencing millions of us for decades, and I ain't exaggerating. Tonight, we have musician, singer, songwriter, co-founder of Tears for Fears, Curt Smith, and actor-director, not to mention a singer-songwriter in his own right who you loved in Fame, RoboCop, 24, ER, many more, Paul McCrane. Let's give it up for both of them.
Very happy to be here.
I'm thrilled
That's
to
a
have
lie.
you both here. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. It's already begun.
The lying has begun.
I really don't want to
tell.
be here.
Uh-oh. Before we started, Curt and Paul went off and exchanged personal stories, and we have titled them and placed them within the bowl of stories. We also randomly selected who's going to go first, and depending on how you look at it, Curt won. He's going to go first for the first round, so why don't we just get this game started. I'm going to reach deep within the bowl of stories. We're going to put 2 minutes on the clock, and Curt, you will be the first to tell us the tale that we've entitled Runway.
Start lying now.
Runway, okay. Nothing, well, actually something to do with the plane, I have to say. This happened, what was the year? It was 1991.
Okay, come on, I have to stop you right there because you're already having to make it up. Just you're struggling
okay.
to find the word.
1991,
Okay,
I
yes,
think it was, yeah, because it was the first Gulf War, so that was around that time. I was invited to model, strangely enough, for Yohji Yamamoto, who's a famous designer, who designs all these kind of very fancy suits with, you know, like little sort of dragons down them and different things, and the kind of thing that I obviously normally wear, as you can tell. But it was in Paris, and the Gulf War's on, and I didn't want to fly or anything like that. So I asked for a stupendous amount of money, and I said, I've got to go with my wife. Well, actually, we weren't married then, but we were engaged. But my fiancée, because it was in Paris. So you have to fly us both Concorde. I want a suite at the Crillon. I want a 24-hour driver. And so I thought, well, they're bound to come back and say no, because I didn't really want to do it. Unfortunately, they came back and said, sure, whatever you want. So the premise of the story, by the way, it was just a whole disastrous trip. But we get on the Concorde to go to Paris. So the first thing that happens to us, let me just say the Air France Concorde, not as good as the British Airways Concorde, of course. And my wife gets up to go to the bathroom, and the first thing that happens is she opens the door of the bathroom, the door falls flat on her. So this is the Air France Concorde, the thing's falling apart anyway. So that's our trip over there. We get there, and I didn't really know what they're going to dress me in, and they brought out these like really fancy suits. And I'm walking down the runway in this like ruffled neck and everything like this. And all I can see is my wife laughing hysterically in the front row of the audience. And there's this wire right here. I'll finish the story.
Yeah,
now.
go ahead.
But the end of it is, there's this wire right here. I don't really see it because of all this dry ice on the stage. And straight down, disappeared, flattened my face. Got to keep the suits though, and it was very nice trip. Apart from that.
By the way, there goes our sponsorship deal with Air France.
Yeah. And Yohji Yamamoto.
Yeah, right.
It's actually quite plausible, but I understand that something similar may have happened to you.
Yeah, it's,
Paul is
that's
a model,
not plausible at all. Yeah, no, that was interesting. Okay, my time started. Okay, no, here's the actual. No, it's okay.
I promise I won't interrupt you again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anytime.
Okay.
The actual story happened
Not
about
like you
10
did it to me.
years. No, anytime. The actual story happened about 10 years prior to what Curt is saying. It was when the movie Fame came out, and they flew us all over the world to do a little bit of publicity for this and that and the other thing. And Lee Carreri and I were good friends, and he was Bruno in the film. Anyway, we go over to Italy during this part of the trip, and we're in Rome. And they have us doing the I don't know even what the program was called, but it was like American Bandstand, only Italian Bandstand. It was sort of their version of it. So I go over there, Bandstanda, or something like that. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I wrote a couple of songs that were in the film. I actually sang a couple in the film, wrote one of them. Anyway, I'm supposed to perform this song, and it's just embarrassing. The whole thing is humiliating. Anyway, they have this sort of stage that juts out into their little audience in the studio there. It's kind of like a runway out there. And Lee's already done his thing, so he's just hanging out in the audience watching. And the director comes up, they're during like a commercial break or something, and he comes up to me, there's a live show, and in Italian, which I don't understand, through a translator, he's saying that while I'm singing my song, which is this, sort of quiet guitar song, he wants me to get up and walk down this runway in a kind of a wistful little thing while I'm doing it. And I'm trying to be game and go, okay, all right, and they just go. And by the way, I'm lip syncing the whole thing, so I feel ridiculous in the first place as it is, and they're running video behind me, it's absurd. So I get up and I start walking down this runway when I see the director pointing at me like this, go, go, go. So I get up and I'm starting to walk down this runway, and I feel ridiculous. And all I hear is Lee over in the side over there laughing his ass off at me. And all these Italian kids are sitting around bored anyway. Whenever the camera's not on them, they're just like this. And whenever the camera cuts to them and they know when it's going to be, they're like... So I'm walking down this runway, and the next thing I know, I see Lee, and I'm just trying to ignore him, and boom, down I go over the edge on the floor. Fortunately, I didn't break my guitar. And that's the true story.
Wow.
Thank you.
Well told, both of you.
Very well told.
I want to just remind the audience that their goal is to get you to believe them. If you think you know who the liar is, go ahead and vote. They don't want to win this vote. Whoever gets selected as the liar is going to lose this round. But if you have any questions to try and probe deeper and get to the truth, go ahead and send them through Kat. I had a couple of my own. This Wandering Troubadour.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. Your wife was laughing at you,
yes.
And that's what distracted you, and that's
yes.
why you fell.
Yes.
Was she just laughing because of the ridiculous outfit?
Because of as you can tell, I don't normally dress in that kind of attire. Yeah. So my wife is looking at me.
Okay, that's a lie. I've seen you at home.
Yeah, right. Only when Paul is directing me in school events am I dressed up. But no, with the whole ruffle thing and something up here, it was just it was bad, and she was just, the tears were rolling down her cheeks.
But you did get paid an awful lot.
I did get paid an awful lot to embarrass myself horribly, yes.
Wow.
I wish I'd got
There's a silver lining to everything, as they say, yeah.
I love the Italian bandstand regulars that know when they have to give energy.
Could not care less. When the camera wasn't on them, couldn't care less. Yeah.
But you did not fall on the guitar.
No. I did a twist to avoid landing on that. Fortunately, I'd had that guitar since I was 16. I still have it.
And this is like a nylon
Guild.
string?
No. It's acoustic guitar. It's a Guild DM25. Wow.
Nice detail. Kat, are there any questions from the chat room for either Curt or Paul?
We have a few questions and comments. So the first is from Pittsburgh Pushy Lover, I believe. The comment is,
Pushy Lover.
Curt Smith, liar, Concords are too small. That's the comment.
Concords are too small for what? To pull a door off?
No.
I guess.
Yeah, because you were saying that the whole thing happened on the Concorde.
No,
right?
No, not the runway.
The
no,
runway
we were just
was
talking
on the
about
runway
the disastrous
show.
run-up.
Yet
the
another
whole
hole in the
modeling
story.
show was down
Yet
in the
another
middle
hole.
of the Concorde. Yes. They pay you to fly up in it, and you just walk up and down the aisle. In fact, we doubled. It was actually a fashion show, and I was going, the emergency.
I recently flew on the A380, and you actually could have a runway show.
Yeah,
That
so
thing
I've
is-
heard. I was waiting. I just came back from a tour, and I was waiting to get an A380, but I didn't.
Do it if you can. It's quite an
Yeah.
experience.
Okay, I don't even know what the A380 is.
It's the big, big.
It's
Oh,
the
it's
biggest
Airbus.
thing that's in. Yeah.
Oh, really?
The
I didn't even know
double-decker
that was flying
Airbus,
yet.
where,
Yeah, it's
where,
really cool.
where apparently first class is like having your own apartment.
No, it
Not
was
that I
like
fly
it was
first
like a
class.
New York studio apartment with a staff of 3. I was lucky enough to get flown there on someone else's dime,
Right.
but oh my gosh, is it worth it? Kat, what else have we got before I ramble on?
Oh, let's see. We've got some other comments. We have one from Boston Tracy. This is a question for Paul. So, was it Paris Fashion Week?
I wasn't this. That was Kurt's lie about Paris.
Oh,
Mine was,
and that was
mine
to
was
Curt
in
then.
Italy. Mine was in Rome, Italy.
It was in
But
But was it
No.
Paris Fashion
I
Week
wouldn't
when you
know
were in
because
Italy?
that I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry.
Certainly. Another comment from Boston Tracy. To Curt, were there any other musicians asked to model?
There were actually some strange
Oh.
ones. The weirdest one was John Cale, I have to say, because he just looked even more peculiar than me in one of those suits. Some guy from Frankie Goes to Hollywood, I believe. Who else? There was this great, who was fantastic. I'll tell you, the star of the show was this saxophonist called Charles Lloyd. Have you ever heard of him? He's like this old guy, lives down, I think he's San Diego, I believe. And gray-haired, he was like 70 then, but he was the star of the show. He actually worked it.
For me, the star of the show is the word saxophonist.
Saxophonist.
I wouldn't have known how to pronounce saxophonist, but I would have done it wrong.
You can do that on.
No, that's a compliment. I liked it. We're going to close up the voting pretty soon, so go ahead and vote for who you think the liar is. Remember, they don't want to win this vote, but go ahead and vote because we'll take one more question or comment if we have it. Otherwise, I've made my decision as to who I think the liar
The
is.
saxophonist.
Saxophonist.
Yes.
I'm going to say this is who I think is lying this time. I'll share it with the fellas. Let's see if we agree. Let's see if I'm right. Any more questions, or shall we go straight to the vote?
The vote is in.
Oh, let's hear it.
Yes. According to the final count,
Someone's got an instant message.
yes, 67% believe that Paul is the liar.
Ooh, well, count me in agreement with 67%. I thought Paul was the liar, too. Let's find out with a dramatic raise of your hand, because it's too warm in here tonight to actually stand up and walk around. Will the real liar please raise their hand?
Is that dramatic enough? Wow, I feel pathetic. I thought I was a better liar than that. What gave it away?
Such a thing as being
What
too
gave it
good.
away?
Such a thing as being
It
too
wasn't
good.
that you weren't good, it's just that he had a couple of things that made me think that had to have happened.
Had to have happened.
It was which was truthier, not who was
Truthier.
That's how I made it.
I'm being like
Truthiness.
laughed at for saying saxophonist, and he's coming out with
Truthier.
truthier.
I like that.
I
like
love
truthier.
saxophonists. So the score is 1-0. Paul got 1 point. Curt got 1 point because Paul was indeed lying. Had Curt been lying, he would have gotten 2 points. But the score is 1-0. And they're not just playing for honor. They are playing for a shot at $26 million in tonight's Mega Millions drawing. And being the charitable celebrities that they are, I'm sure that they are each or both going to donate a generous yet undisclosed percentage of these potential winnings to a very worthy cause. So let's find out who they're playing for. Curt, who are you playing for?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Let me think about that. JDRF,
JDRF.
Junior Diabetes Research Fund.
Very good. How about you, Paul?
I'm playing for the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
Very good. Both worthy charities, and they're both going to get some shots, but the winner will get more. And it is now time to move on to round 2 as I reach once again deep within the bowl of stories. Paul, you're going to be going first this time.
All right, then.
And you are going to tell us a story that we call Ghost Stories.
Okay. Say
Good
when.
luck with that one.
He'll start when you start.
Okay, so here's the deal. I was in, I don't remember the name of the town in Louisiana, shooting The Blob, a remake of The Blob. The original, I think, had Steve McQueen in it. This one did not. Anyway, we were in this town, and we were shooting on location in this sort of remote area. And we were consequently staying in a kind of motel kind of place in, was it Fayette, Louisiana? I can't remember. Anyway, I was staying in a motel, which is the normal kind of motel where there are sort of 2 beds like this and then a door over here. So, you know, it wasn't a terrible motel. It was a motel, a simple thing. So one night, out of the blue, this is kind of a short story, honestly. I was sleeping in this bed. The door's over here. I'm over in this bed here. There's a bed here. And I wake up to the sound and the vision of a guy walking in, like through the door, into my room and walking right at me. And this guy has like a long coat, like a greatcoat, a long coat on, and looks almost like an old-time, like a Revolutionary War kind of guy. And I'm laying in the bed, and as I realize that he's coming toward me, I throw off the covers, and I'm starting to get out of bed to defend myself because he's moving at me with some, a momentum. And I'm getting out of bed saying, who the hell, I'm going to defend myself. And as he's walking towards me, I see he's starting to disappear from the ground up. And as he I'm here, and as he walks here, he's disappearing, and leans right over me like that, and his head completely just disappears, just like that. And I look around, and the door's closed, and I'm completely freaking out, and I have 23 seconds left, but that's all the story I got. That's what happened.
You were attacked by a ghost.
I was not actually attacked, just terrified by a ghost.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was freaky.
So many questions, but Curt, I understand that strangely enough, something similar may have happened to you.
Well, kind of similar. I mean, Paul, of course, changed the story somewhat from the original. But
so you weren't in the remake of The Blob?
I was not in the remake of The Blob, no. And actually, this was in a friend's house, weirdly enough. And it was, I was staying there with, again, my wife. She's always in these stories, strangely enough. And we'd never been in this house before. And I'm kind of like it's one of those like half awake, half asleep, and you don't really know what's going on. And I'm looking kind of at the window in the middle of the night, and I see these kind of curtains shimmering kind of thing. And I don't really know what's going on. And I kind of, then I realize, well, I'm awake, but I don't really see straight curtains. And then suddenly this sort of, it becomes like a shape. And I'm there, and I'm like trying to wake Frances up, who's my wife, going, and this thing just comes towards me, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like freaking out. And then suddenly it kind of just disappears. And to be honest, I still don't know to this day whether it was real or not. But I woke up the next morning, and I asked the people who we're staying with, and I said, it was so weird in that room last night. And they tell me the house is supposed to be haunted. And then they tell me the next day also, they're like, did you realize the room you're staying in actually has no curtains? And so I'm like, I didn't even think of it. And you go back, and there are no curtains. And so I'm convinced to this day that I saw the ghost that was in this house. And the house itself was haunted. It was an old rectory, and it was haunted by the vicar's wife, who actually burnt to death in the house.
Wow.
And so normally you see these kind of flowing things that happened in like the, when was it? Oh, I think it was in like the Middle Ages or something.
Because they had curtains in the Middle Ages.
No, well, this house actually didn't have curtains.
No, I know. It's so weird when it's a supernatural story. If you don't believe in those things, and they're both lies. But I don't know. This is fascinating. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the chat room through Kat, and she'll pass them on to Curt or Paul. My first question for you, Paul, is in the Blob remake, did they remake that song, The Blob, that, remember from the original?
No, they didn't, but that's great. They should have had that on a television somewhere. No, anyway, no, not that I'm aware of.
And for you, Curt, my question, my first question is, was it in human form? What came through the curtains?
It just felt, it looked like material, is all I can say. Material and kind of like an amorphous face above it.
Oh, so the curtains that were shimmering, it was sort of that came forward?
Well, I thought it was curtains initially, and then it kind of came at me, which was the freakiest thing. And then to discover the next day that there were no curtains in the room was kind of, it was like this retrospective ghost story.
And were you able to wake Frances up, or she slept through the whole
No,
thing?
she sleeps like a log. There was no chance.
And Paul, one more for you before we toss them over to questions from the chat room. I've been on location before. Louisiana, there's hurricanes, there's drinks, there's a lot. Were you sober when you went?
Yes, no. I was, I believe. To be honest with you, I don't remember if I was, but I believe I was. And this was not alcohol-induced. And it was freaky. I mean, this figure came at me, and this was definitely a human figure. I could see the clothes, but it was sort of like, it really was like that ghost image thing where it's like smoke colored. It's like luminescent white edges. You know what I mean? The detail of the arms and legs and the clothing. And it was definitely like someone dressed in something from what looked to me like, you know, a couple of hundred years ago.
A frock coat.
Well, it was a great coat or a long coat. You know, those long sort of coats.
Wow. Civil War kind of thing?
Might have been.
I feel mine was old because mine was in England, of course, which is known for being far more haunted than anywhere in America because it's just not old enough.
Yes, it is.
Go ahead and vote. Was this in Bath?
It wasn't, well, actually outside of Bath, I've got to say. But, yeah.
Because that's where you hail from, correct?
That's where I hail from, yeah, but this is before I bought my house in Bath. This is when I sold one and was about to move into another, so we're staying with friends. I had this big house outside of Bath.
Because I've been to Bath and a lot of it looks kind of haunted. I mean, there's a lot of old...
Well, Bath goes back BC.
Yeah,
I mean, it was, you know...
Romany.
Yes, well, Romany. Is that a word as well?
Yeah, it's like the...
I believe actually Romany is another name for gypsies, but, you know...
Earlier in the evening, my story, I actually had been taking a bath in a hailstorm. So...
same kind of thing.
If you know who the liar is, or if you think you know, go ahead and vote. But if you have any questions, pass them out through Kat. And Kat, do we have any questions?
We do have a couple questions and comments. Let's see. We have a question from Stupid for Movies. This is for both Paul and Curt. Have you seen a ghost since those experiences?
Yes. I had a very, very similar experience at the Magic Hotel here in Hollywood. Where I woke up one morning. I was actually not living here. I was living in New York, so I don't remember what I was working on here, but I woke up one morning, and there was a woman in what looked like, I have some fixation on Victorian era, I guess, in like Victorian wear, at the foot of my bed. And I woke up, and the same thing happened. She wasn't walking towards me. She was just standing at the foot of the bed and disappeared sort of from the ground.
Wow.
I haven't. I can just say that Paul has some issues, I feel. But no, I've not. I mean, although I actually, when I lived in England, I had actually a whole bunch of cats, weirdly. I mean, cats are very perceptive. And I'm sure that in one house I lived in that was haunted because the cats wouldn't go into this one room ever.
Would cats know that you were lying?
Yeah, they would kind of give me a like, yeah.
No, I mean right now.
But in a kind of way. Should I do that again? It was a kind of...
Yeah. One more time. Ready? Thank you. Okay, I wanted to join.
Kat, we got anything else, or are they already certain?
I think they're still voting. We do have another question. This one is for Curt. This is from Boston Tracy. They were wondering if, during the experience, you felt cold.
Well, I mean, I did, but I don't think any colder than I was already. I mean, it was in this old house in Bath, and there was no curtains on the window, so it was actually freezing in there anyway, and it was the winter time. So, no, I mean, not specifically. I don't really remember. I mean, it was that time of year where it was cold anyway.
Was yours accompanied by any sort of change of temperature, or?
No, the room wasn't like frosted or anything from like poltergeist or anything. Right. It was just. I remember the window, the sort of large plate window next to the door, and the light of the whatever cheap light there was outside on the curtains that were in the room.
There were.
I've decided who I think the liar is, so why don't you go ahead and vote, because if I can make up my mind, you can too. I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to share it with Paul and Curt, but this is who I think the liar is this time around. Let's see if they agree with me, and let's see if we're all right. Has the result been tabulated?
Yes, it has. It just came in. So, it appears... Oh, wait, there's a recount.
Uh-oh.
We got some, like, spooky music.
Did it switch?
It's in. Are you ready? Fantastic. So, it appears that 63% of our chatters believe that Paul is lying.
Oh, I gotta say, chat room, I disagree with you this time. I think that the liar was Curt. And if I'm right, he's gonna get 2 points. And if I'm wrong, he'll just get 1. Why don't we please, by the way, guys, in the 60s, it's pretty close. It's been pretty close both times. Will the real liar please dramatically raise their hand?
Clearly, people think I'm lying. All the time.
Why do you think I asked you to do this?
Mostly I just want to gloat about being right, but The score is 3-0.
Wow.
Curt is in the lead, but don't give up
I'm
hope.
not giving up.
Because there
Or
is still
giving up hope.
the lightning round. And the lightning round works like this. Both Curt and Paul were kind enough before the show to email me some facts and supposed facts about themselves. I have culled some of these and put them onto lovely cards. And so first Curt is going to read his to Paul. And like lightning, I would like you to respond true or lie to each one. I will keep track.
Like lightning?
And we shall. Yeah, that's why
Lightning.
we call it the lightning round, because the responses
Like
are
lightning.
supposed to be like lightning, but they never are.
Right.
But so please, true or lie after each one, whenever you're ready, sir.
So I'm going to tell Paul this, and he's going to say truth or lie.
Yeah, after
That's
each
right.
one, he'll say, and then we'll go to the next.
Is that why it says Curt lightning round?
Exactly.
I like
But don't tell him whether he's right or wrong.
Lie.
We'll withhold.
Okay.
Well, it
I think I'm
hasn't been
changing
done
my
yet.
last name to Lightning, by the way. I'm Curt Lightning.
Or,
Curt yes.
I'm saying true or lie?
No.
True or lie.
All right.
Okay.
You can say false if you want.
Number one.
Yeah.
I was asked what the best and worst gifts I've ever been given were, and my answer was a video camera and crabs.
True.
I once had a real job.
Lie.
Elton John has kissed me on the lips.
True.
Lance Armstrong has fixed my bicycle.
Lie.
When I was young, I had a morbid fear of shrews.
Lie.
All right, we'll find out how well Paul did after the next lightning round. Paul,
Fear of shrews.
go ahead and like
my
lightning,
God.
Curt, please respond true or lie to each of these.
As a health cleanse, I once actually drank my own urine.
Lie.
I have spoken in tongues.
Lie.
My pinky toe is slightly larger than the one next to it.
True. I don't know how I would know that.
My great-grandmother was a bootlegger.
True.
I have never been to Times Square to see the ball drop on New Year's Eve.
True.
All right. Let us first take a look at how Paul did in Curt's lightning round.
Did I get any of them right?
Curt did indeed say that the best and worst gifts he's ever gotten were a video camera and crabs, so you got a point for that one. He never had a real job, and you said that was false, so
Okay,
you got
that's
another point for that one.
Catching
Elton
up.
John has kissed him on the lips. That's 3 for you
Catching
there.
up.
Lance Armstrong has fixed his bicycle, and you said that was a lie. And when he was young, he did not have a morbid fear of shrews. But you have taken the lead, sir, with 4 points. He needs to get 1 right to tie you and 2 right to beat you.
Yes.
The first one you said was that as a health cleanse, you once drank your own urine. That is false, and he was correct, so he gets a point for that one. You said you had spoken in tongues. He said false. That apparently is
Yes.
true. Wow, all
Absolutely
right, so
true.
no point there.
Really?
Yeah, we'll talk after.
In tongues,
In
I
tongues.
presume.
We'll speak in tongues.
His pinky toe is not slightly larger than the one next to it.
Do I get points for these or no?
No, but it's tied at the moment. He
I
needs
know,
one
I
more
know.
to
If he
beat
gets,
you.
I can't remember if he got any right.
And he does, because his great-grandmother was indeed
That's right.
a bootlegger.
Yes, she was.
But he got the last one wrong.
The
You
apple
have
doesn't
been,
fall far from the
to
tree.
Times Square to
I
see
have,
the
in
ball
fact,
drop.
seen the ball drop,
So very close game. 5-4. Curt
Edged
Smith
me out.
is the winner.
I tip my hat to you. Lying bastard.
But you know, Paul,
Yes.
for coming in second, you still get 1 shot at
Excellent.
$26 million for you
Excellent.
and your charity. But you, Curt, you
Wait
get
a minute, this is
5
last week's
shots.
drawing.
5 shots. No, that's being drawn like actually right now.
As we
right,
speak.
Right now, that's being drawn.
Do we get to find out while we're on the air?
We actually, it takes them a minute to post it, so no, we
All right.
shan't. But thanks, you guys, for playing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really, such a pleasure having you. Thanks, Cat Steele. for
Thank you,
doing
Cat.
such a great
Thank you, Cat.
job co-hosting. Follow us at Celeb Liar on the Twitter. Follow Cat Steele at Cat Steele with a K on the Twitter. Follow at Curt Smith on the Twitter. And check out CurtSmithOfficial.com. And please do yourself a favor and listen to All Is Love.
All Is Love.
Featuring Zoe Keating. Great new single that you can get on many places. Paul, you did something called Harry's Law coming up.
I did, yes. It's a pilot, David Kelly's new pilot. I acted in that.
Fantastic.
Yep.
I'm so psyched they were here. I'm so psyched you were here. TheRoomLive.com, if this is your first time here, come back. And not just for Celebrity Liar. There's a lot of great stuff going on in here. There's cooking shows. There's comedy. There's us. There's live music. There's great live music. So come back and check it out. And there's great archived shows here, too. I would like to thank Robin Rouzan and Michael Davis and Matt Edwards and everybody in the Room Live that helps us put on the show every week. And mostly I want to thank you because it wouldn't be anything without you. Thanks and good night. Thanks for watching Celebrity Live.
Thanks, Curt.